Hi, I'm Catherine Altman Morgan. I am a career transition expert, business consultant, and the author of This Isn't Working, Evolving the Way We Work to Decrease Stress, Anxiety, and Depression. And I'm here today with my esteemed colleague.
Hi, I'm Angie Gonzalez. I'm a certified life coach and an artist and designer. Excited to be here today.
Yes, and what are you here for? You are here for Momentary Respite, which is what we're calling this series. It's designed to be sort of a short study break, snack break, coffee break from your day to day. We're going to dive into one of the ideas that we cover in our Sanctuary Respite from 2024 membership group. More about that later. But right now, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about the myth of Pandora. And you're going to say, yeah, kind of remember that. Maybe heard about it in my childhood, something. But there was a meme that I saw during 2020 stay at home that made me laugh so hard. And I thought was the best explanation of what was going on as anything. So this is how 2020 really started. Welcome to my latest unboxing video, says Pandora. And if you're still scratching your head, like remind me, freshen my memory about this Pandora thing, I'll just go over the highlights quickly. So Pandora was the first woman, so equated with the Eve story in the Old Testament. And she was breathed into being by the god Hephaestus at the behest of Zeus, the head honcho, the big guy. Aphrodite gave her great emotion, and Hermes gave her mastery over language, and Athena gave her craftsmanship and attention to detail. Um, Hermes also gave her name, by the way, Pandora. Uh, and Zeus was in the middle of a power struggle and sort of setting Pandora up. He gave her the gift of curiosity, but curiosity in extreme, like overwhelming curiosity. And then he gave her a heavy box. In some tellings, it's a jar, but we'll go with box that was sealed shut. And he said the content was not for mortal eyes, and it was her wedding gift. So she went to Earth, all excited to explore Earth because, wait for it, she was curious. And she fell in love with Epimetheus. Epimetheus was charged with developing the Earth and creating the atmosphere. And his brother, Prometheus, was charged with creating the human race. Unfortunately, Prometheus overstepped a little bit and gave humans fire after Zeus said, no, humans don't get fire. Prometheus is like, oh, but humans would really benefit from it, gave them fire, and was eternally punished. So Epimetheus was really lonely. He was missing his brother, who was getting his liver eaten out every night. And anyway, he and Pandora fall in love, get married. And she has this box as part of her wedding gift. Now, if you're a very curious person and you have something you can't get into, the only thing that you can think about is getting into that thing. So it was on her mind day and night, and it started calling to her, and she could imagine voices coming out. And at some point, she opens the box just a little bit to assuage her curiosity, thinking she could close it back and never have to look at it again. But oops, she unleashed all the evils of the world into the world. And then she quickly tries to close the box or get the things back in, and she can't. And she sobs and is overwhelmed by emotion. Later on, she hears something quiet from the box, not like the voices that have been calling to her, but something that was clearly different energy. And she opens it up and there's hope. So even when everything has gone to heck, there's always hope. So that's the kind telling of the story that I found in a TED Ed video, which I liked. But then as I was doing research, I found some other things that got Angie and I really up in arms. So we found this. So, Pandora was the first woman on earth. We talked about that. And her name means the one who bears all gifts, because she was given gifts by all the gods. Pandora was created as a punishment because of Prometheus, who stole fire. Her gifts were beautifully evil, according to Hesiod. Aphrodite gave her femininity. But here's the part. Hermes was ordered by Zeus to teach her to be deceitful, stubborn, and curious. Well, that's a little different take on curious, as in intrigued and bright and interested. No, deceitful and stubborn. So that's the story of Pandora. It's kind of a mixed bag. And I remember when you read it, there were some things that you hadn't remembered about the story and some things that sort of triggered you, Angie. Tell us what
I was really triggered. Absolutely. The idea of opening this box, which contains all the horrors of the world, like what a terrifying idea. Really, stopped me in my tracks mostly because I was such a hellraiser as a kid. And, this was like huge cautionary tale, like, don't do these things if we tell you not to do it. And don't take risk and don't be curious. And, I was terrified of the story. Also, I don't remember the hope part at all. So to me, it was basically very similar to the Eve story, which is she eats this apple and basically releases all the terrors of the world in her own way, also basically vilifying the first female, vilifying her from the beginning.
They were banished from the Garden of Eden. See ya, all this perfection, no more. You're gonna have to worry about hunger and cold and also disease, stuff you never had to do in the garden.
Yeah. So the hope piece, though, rereading this, in preparation for Sanctuary, was like a breath of fresh air for me. Like, I realized that, yes, she was vilified. Yes, she was given gifts that were basically dooming her to be curious, instead of a wonderful gift of curiosity, a terrible gift of curiosity, but also being given the gift unknowingly of hope. Like, she gives hope to the world because she sees hope there in the bottom of the box.
And I wonder if one of the ideas of the myth is sort of the dichotomy. Without the evil, you can't have the hope. There would be no need for hope without evil, right?
Right. So you don't even, without all of the horrors of the world released, you're missing out on some of the wonders of the world as well.
I agree. So what do you think is some of the downside of curiosity? You mentioned that you were a very curious child, probably into things and always being told to tone down a little bit, or to
boy, was I ever.
or to not go there.
Don't go there. Don't ask that question. Don't take risk. Don't be curious. Don't want more than you should want. Just rules and rules and rules, which I just felt like I was in that Pandora's. I was inside the
I was
Pandora's.
going to say, were they trying to put you in a box, or did it feel like you were being put in a box? You wanted to explore, you wanted to go big, you wanted to know why that worked, what that was, what's over there, what does that taste like? Like most children, children generally are very curious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if as children we are curious and we're allowed to be curious and we're given books to read and we're told stories and here's crayons, draw your own pictures, and all these wonderful outlets for our curiosity to be explored, it's a positive thing. And yet in this Pandora's tale, curiosity is a terrible thing. So there's this very, I don't know what the word would be, but it's a clashing of two ideas that are it's the same word, but two completely different ideas around curiosity.
I agree. I totally agree. And and Pandora was made to be curious. That was this kind of little thing to her. But she was given a box that she was not supposed to open. Now, in the world, we have freedom of choice, but did she really have a choice, or was she in fact set up to fail?
Well, I don't know why you would give somebody curiosity and then give them something that you're told not to be curious about. So yes, I agree. I think so. I think she was set up to fail. And I think the fact that she was the first woman and he set her up to fail as punishment for another man just feels very, I don't know,
Yeah, he got a
hateful.
she got caught in a power struggle. Zeus was
Big
pissed
time.
off at Prometheus and his brother. Prometheus was getting punished for giving the fire, and Epimetheus was lonely and missing his brother, and he sends this beautiful woman who's curious and interesting and supernaturally beautiful. Of course, he falls in love with her and wants to marry her. And his brother had warned him, don't take gifts from Zeus. Zeus is not your buddy. And he was in love and he didn't think about it. And there was this beautiful woman. So, there it is. But what's the upside of curiosity as a strategy and a posture? How can we use it in a good way?
Well, I mean, a little bit like what I was saying before about with children, where, if they're encouraged to research what they're curious about, if they're encouraged to read, if they're encouraged to draw and create and sing and write poetry and all of the above, that's an attempt, I believe, for humans to express their curiosity. We are curious. I think it is like they say in the TV show Monk, it's a blessing and a curse, right?
For sure.
And especially if you're curious and you're not allowed those outlets, that would be the tough part. That for me, that would be the downside, would be for arts to be abandoned in schools so that children aren't allowed to explore their, what's bubbling up inside them. I mean, yes, we encourage children, if they're interested in science or mathematics, to go and, dig deeper into those things, which is a huge form of curiosity. Clearly, look at how far we've come in the centuries that we've been, humans have been active and productive. All of that comes out of curiosity. Curious if the sun, if we revolve around the sun or the sun revolves around us. Curious if, how do plants procreate when they don't have, what humans have? And are animals as intelligent as humans? Or, just all of that. How does our body work? How do we stay alive And then, so, as doctors, early doctors in medieval times, they would cut open the body just so they could see what was happening inside of there. It's, it's all curiosity.
I agree. Humans are curious creatures for sure, or we wouldn't keep inventing stuff and evolving stuff and creating stuff. Curiosity is a posture as an adult will one make your life a lot more interesting
Yeah.
and will actually keep you out of despair because you might get curious as to how you could fix a situation or curious to learn a new healing modality or to reach for a book or to do an online search or to look at something you don't think you can change from a different perspective. Curiosity is actually a superpower in these crazy times as the rate of change of the world and markets and information is so fast. If we're not curious, the information we had from years ago isn't all that helpful.
Here's what's really interesting. As you were talking just now, I realized that there is a correlation between curiosity and hope. When we're not curious and we just look at the situation as it is, we get very sad and depressed and maybe even, you know, mean, right? Like I'm trying to protect myself, therefore, because this horrible world out there is out to get me. And I just become very closed and mean and
Rigid, flexible.
rigid, very rigid. And the idea of being curious is, okay, you're telling me that that's what's going on out there, the news, TV, other people on Facebook, things like that. This is what is being said out there. But if I get curious and I say, is this really true? Or, what else is true? If this is true, what else is true? Or how can I change that? Or, is this even possible to change and make better? And there, in the gist of that, right, is the kernel of hope. There is
There you
hope.
go. And hope clearly is beneficial. If you're in a bad headspace or having financial issues or health issues or whatever issues you might be having, hope needs to be there because other than that, you're in despair. So
Yeah.
we as humans, and a lot of our life is not predictable, clearly need that signpost of hope to move towards should we need to get out of our current situation. It's
I like that image though, the signpost of hope. That's a very powerful thing because we are here and the rest of our journey is ahead of us. And I have to say, my experience being a life coach is that most people are terrified of change, terrified of the unknown, right? And terrified of things ending. So these are the three scariest things that we have as human beings, is those three things. And without hope, we can't take any steps forward on our journey. If you don't have anything to look forward to or hope for or want, why don't I just sit down and just give up? So
exactly.
if that signpost can appear like, because we get there. I know I've been there. I've been in total despair, especially during 2020 with COVID. I just thought, well, that's it. There's nothing else. And then, like, poof, there it is, that little signpost. Hey,
And it can be very
oh,
small to start, just a little ching. Oh,
yeah, yeah. It's a little tiny, little ding, hope is here.
so that's our exploration of Pandora, the myth, the benefits and downsides of curiosity, and the gift we were also given in the middle of all the evils, which was hope. I hope that you enjoyed our exploration of this. If you would like to go deeper please consider joining our Sanctuary A Respite from 2024 membership committee. Membership community, and where we meet every other week to dive into some topic from brain science or psychological frameworks or mythology or anything else that we think might be helpful for navigating these crazy times. I'm Catherine Altman Morgan. Thank you to my esteemed colleague, Angie Gonzalez, and we'll see you soon.